Hi everyone, I'm Ian Harvey, massage therapist. Today we're going to talk about 4 myofascial release techniques that are great for making the client feel stretched out. I've frequently gotten the response to these that, man, I feel an inch taller. And of course we're not actually making them taller because that's not how any of this works. But that feeling of freedom, of feeling that extra bit taller, that you can just stand up straighter, is a very cool feeling. And it's something that I like to begin and end my massages with. And before we get a client on the table, I want to invite you to go slower than you usually do in your everyday massages. Take time with these, take time with the entrance and with the exit. Take the time to breathe, take the time to be present with your client. And I think that you'll find that these can be very profound moves, and they're a great way of putting bookends at either end of the massage. So I've got Allie here with me today.
Hi.
This first technique is something that I use after I'm done working with the back as a whole. I've gone up and down the spine plenty of times, and I've spent some time kind of cutting the back up into pieces, so to speak, and it would be great to put it back together. And so I use something that acknowledges the entire spine from top to bottom. What I'll do is I will transition into a gentle hold of the occiput. I'm exerting just a little bit of pressure superiorly, but this isn't something that you have to use a lot of pressure for. It could even just be an acknowledgement. You can just rest a hand here. But I like to give it a few pounds of lift. Then I place a hand just south of there, and I press down toward the sacrum. And I am pressing on the spine here, but I'm using a very broad hand, so this shouldn't feel uncomfortable at all. And just moving slowly, I'm making my hand drift toward this resting place, just north of the sacrum. And once I reach that, I just kind of hang out. Some important things to note is that you can change the orientation of your lower hand here, just whatever's comfortable for your wrist. And make sure that you're not using your back too much here to hover over your client. I'm giving her a good amount of my body weight on this lower hand. And I've got my thigh connected to the table. So I'm not having to use my back as a crane here. And you can invite your client to take a few easy, deep breaths here, but that kind of goes unspoken. The breathing kind of deepens naturally when you do this. And this is a good opportunity for you to take some deeper breaths. And you can hold this for a good 5 to 10 breaths. And then slowly start bringing that pressure up and away. Just every time your client breathes in, let up some of that pressure. As they breathe out, just keep it steady. And by doing that, you can kind of drift away without it being jarring at all to the nervous system. And allow your hands to drift away. And cover that back up. And that's just a really cool way of putting a period at the end of that sentence. Now this is something that I do after I've worked with the leg, after I've worked with the hip and with the low back, so I've already contacted these areas. I'm not contacting areas that I haven't moved to yet, which can be a little jarring. And the way I do this is I will press the person's ankle against this bolster. So if you don't have a bolster here, this might not work. This can be done with a pillow or what have you, but by pressing this down toward the table, I'm giving a little traction to this leg. And at the same time, I'll make contact with the low back. So I'm conforming my hand to the rib cage, and by pressing down here and pressing up toward the head on this lower rib cage, I'm creating some fascial traction all through the QL and down into the hips. This isn't big or dramatic, but by pressing in here and by waiting for 5 to 10 good breaths, it can create a sense of freedom in the low back and hips. And once enough time has passed, I gently come out of this, just like with the last one. I'm allowing her breath to push me out, then I'm waiting, and then drawing out more and more with each in-breath. And then cover up this leg and move on. This third technique is a great one for the entire back. It's for the hips as well. At the end of working with this area, I'll scoop up the heels and sink back into my own hips. So make sure to keep a relatively straight back. Keep your butt stuck out. And just let your weight pull on these legs. Make sure not to sink in with your fingertips here or with your thumbs. Just try to be as supportive as possible. And this last technique is one that you probably know and love. This is just the good old cranial cradle. So once I'm done working with the neck and shoulders, I'll scoop up underneath the neck. So I'm using my knuckles as a fulcrum here, and I'm leveraging the upper back and neck up toward the ceiling. And this doesn't have to feel sharp. You can use your finger pads here rather than the fingertips, and by using all 8 fingers, this can be quite a broad surface. And drawing up toward the occiput, once I get past the neck and I'm into the hairline, I'll press up and toward myself and curl my fingers under. And that changes the direction of this pressure. It's now pressing up toward the crown of her head. And so this is creating a bit of traction. And I've got a nice big solid base formed by the backs of my hands here. And once again, you can just rest here. You can take some easy deep breaths yourself. You can breathe with your client so that you can kind of get in sync with what they're experiencing. Make sure you're not digging in with your thumbs. They don't have to be doing anything with the temples here, and they can fall away to the side. And after about 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 good breaths, you can allow those curled fingers to fall down toward the table, to become relaxed. And as you do that, slowly draw your hands out and away. You want to escape that like a thief in the night. Just gently draw out of that. And again, great way of ending a massage. All right, those are my 4 techniques to make the client feel taller. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if there's anything that you do in your massages that has a similar effect. Thanks as always to my Patreon supporters. You guys make it possible for me to do my weird teaching thing. Consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.